Welcome to day 29 of 30 Days of Photoshop. Today we're talking about the differences between Lightroom and Photoshop. Hello and welcome back to 30 Days of Photoshop. My name is Aaron Nace. Today we're talking about the differences between Lightroom and Photoshop. Now, Lightroom is actually comprised of a family of different products. We have Lightroom Classic, which has been around for a long time. The new Lightroom, which is a desktop application that's cloud-based editing. And then we have Lightroom Mobile, that's gonna be for your phone or tablet. That's also gonna be for cloud-based editing. So when we talk about Lightroom, we're kind of talking about three products in one. When we do our examples today, we're gonna be using Lightroom Classic on the desktop. So generally, what are the differences between the Lightroom family of products and Photoshop? To start with, Lightroom is fantastic if you're gonna be editing a number of images. For instance, if you photograph an event like a wedding or a reception, things like that, and you wanna edit many different photographs at the same time, Lightroom is the perfect program for this use. It's also used for organizing your images on your computer or on the cloud, as well as culling through your photographs. And that's the process of choosing your favorites. If you go take a bunch of photos for an event and you want to choose just your favorite images, Lightroom is perfect for that process. And if you're using Lightroom's cloud-based programs, these are going to be great for storing your images on the cloud. So for general editing, as well as storage and organization, Lightroom is really the program that you want to use, whether you're using Lightroom Classic, Lightroom, or Lightroom Mobile. Now let's take a little bit and talk about Photoshop. Photoshop is great for editing one image at a time. So generally the workflow is you go from Lightroom and choose your favorite images, anything that you want to refine a little bit more, those you take individually into Photoshop. So while the Lightroom family is great for editing massive amounts of photos, Photoshop is one image at a time. Now, Photoshop's capabilities don't end at photo editing. It can be used for graphics and illustrations and mockups and composites and retouching and really high-end things that you can create. Any type of like poster design, any type of packaging design, all that sort of thing can be done in Photoshop as well. The key difference here is that Photoshop uses layers, and you can bring in as many different layers as you'd like, including graphic elements as well as other photographs, and composite them together again. So let's think of it like this. If you want to just edit what's already existing in a photograph, Lightroom is going to be great. If you want to add something to your photograph or combine different images, create some graphics or text, things like that, layout work, Photoshop is going to be the product for you. Not to say that Photoshop isn't a great photo editing program, because it is, but Lightroom is also extremely powerful, and it's kind of designed exactly for photo editing as well as storage and organization. So in today's example, we're going to start by bringing a number of photographs into Lightroom Classic and then going over things like renaming your files, organization, as well as editing large amounts of photos. Then from there, we're going to take one of our sample images, we're going to go into Photoshop, and we're going to replace the sky, adding clouds behind our subject to show you how these two programs differ in their functionality. So we're starting off here with our sample images. Now you can actually download all of this and follow along. It's totally free. Just click on the link right down below. So I'm going to take all of these images. Now, as you can see, these are all taken from unsplash.com. I love these photographs, and shout out to this photographer because he's just fantastic. We're going to go ahead and take all these sample images. I'm going to click and drag them right here into our Lightroom Classic catalog. Now, as of now, we don't have anything else in Lightroom Classic. I've completely cleared out this catalog, so it's kind of like we're starting from scratch. Now, you can bring in images that are already on your computer. You can plug in a memory card into your computer and import directly from a memory card. Basically, any media source that you have, you can use Lightroom as an importing product to get them onto your computer and then organize them from there. So here you can see, basically this is just coming in from, my hard drive here. Here you can see it's coming in from our sample images. Again, you can download all of these things as well, so you can follow along. Up here at the top, you have a few different options. You can copy this as a digital negative, which is a RAW file. Not worth it if you're starting off with JPEGs, but if you're starting off with RAW files, this is my preferred. You can copy them to a different location, you can move them to a different location, or you can simply add them, which is going to allow you to do things like edit these images, rename them, and organize them right here in Lightroom, but they're going to stay exactly where they are when you import them. So we're going to go ahead and click on Add. Now, we're not doing a full Lightroom tutorial here. We have so many fantastic Lightroom tutorials. In fact, we have an entire series that teaches you Lightroom. We're going to link to that right down below. But for now, we're going to click here on Import. It's going to bring all of these images into Lightroom Classic. Fantastic. Now within Lightroom Classic, we're just going to click on this little drop down at the very top. We have two primary modules that we use. The modules up here at the top, really library and develop. These are kind of like the only two we really use that often. Your library is where you're going to be doing culling, which is choosing your favorite images. This is also where you're going to be doing your organization. Now develop is where you're going to be doing your photo editing. Okay, so we're going to start in our library module. Now, the first thing that I want to do, let's go ahead and hit plus a couple times here. You have all of these sidebars. You can expand or contract them. Let's go ahead and contract this sidebar right over here so we can just kind of focus in on our images. Now here you can see all of your different photographs at once. You can double click on any image and here you can see the information about the image. In this case, it's giving us the title name. I'm going to hit I and that's going to cycle through the different information. And here we can see when it was taken and the file size as well. Down here on the very bottom, we have our film strip. Let's go ahead and pop that up and you can see different photographs in our full screen view, just like this. And we can even have different views in our library module. So we're gonna click here on grid view, or G for the grid view. Now going to an individual photo, if you wanna view that in loop view or full screen, just click here. You can get to grid view at any time. You can hold Control or Command and click on two images at the same time and see them side by side. Now this can be helpful. You can use your right and left arrows to cycle through images. And if you like an image, you can hit up and that's going to bring this to the left. I'm gonna hit I to get rid of all of that file information on the right-hand side. There we go. So by hitting right and left, this is a really great way. Let's say you have a couple photos that are similar. Let's say you're, like working through, I've got some images of horses here. So I'm gonna, hit the up arrow and I'm gonna go through my different images of horses here. So let's go ahead and hit right, and now I'm looking at this image versus this image and I'm like, you know what? I like this image a little bit better as like a horse showcase. Let me hit up, there we go. And I'm gonna go through the different images here that like really showcase the horses. There we go. And I'm gonna say, you know what? Of all the images that really showcase the horses, I like this one the best. So what we're gonna do is right down here, we're gonna see we have a couple of dots here. These are actually available for rating. So I'm gonna click here and it's gonna rate that image 5 stars. Now you can also click right on this option and it's going to flag this image as a pick and we can use that for filtering later. Okay, let's go ahead back to our grid view real quick and you can see here this image is set to 5 stars. So we've set this image to 5 stars and now we have a couple of other images here. Let's say we've done these portraits here. We've done a couple portraits and we want to see which one of these portraits we like the best. So I'm going to click on this image. Let's hold Control or Command and then click on that image there. And then I'm going to click here to view them side by side. And I'm going to say, you know what, which one of these do I like more? Honestly, it's so hard to decide. These are both fantastic in so many ways. I'm going to just give them both 5 stars because I really like both of those. Okay, let's do one more example. We're going to click here back on our grid view one more time. And then this time we're gonna try to look for an action shot. So we have this as an action shot, okay? Let's go ahead and you can double click on it and you're gonna see this. You can still hold Control or Command and click multiple images here in your timeline, okay? Or in your, what is this called down here? It's not a timeline, I'm thinking of Photoshop. In your film strip, there we go. Let's go ahead and view those images side by side. So see or click here on the compare view. So again, I can flip through the images on the right-hand side by using the left and right arrows, and I'm going through all my different action shots, okay? Now, if I get to an action shot, you can see we have our select and our candidate. If I get to an action shot that I like more than my select, I'm gonna hit up, and it's gonna promote it over to the right-hand side, and we see we have a few different action shots, and I think this is my favorite action shot. It looks really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and give that 5 stars as well. Fantastic. Let's click on our grid. Now here we've done quite a bit. Let's go ahead and clear out our sidebars and we're gonna show you how to filter by those 5 stars because we've flagged a few things 5 stars. Now we wanna say, hey, which are our actual favorite images? Let's go ahead and refine it so we only see just those images. Okay, now we can go right down here and remove our film strip down here on the bottom, and we can go here on the right-hand side and remove that view as well. So here we can see just our images. Now, if you want to start to refine your images, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go right up here at the top. You can see you can search here by text. You can go to attribute, you can search by metadata, or you can just click on none. Now we're gonna go to attribute up here, and this will basically start filtering our images. You can see we have library filter. Now here we have whether they're flagged or not, and you can see a couple images I flagged. And then the most of what I did here was use star ratings, right? So here we have our ratings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna click here, and then now this shows just my 5-star images. Okay, so if I wanted to export these out to a folder that was like, my favorites, that would be a great way to do it. So basically the lesson here is no matter what type of event or compilation of photographs that you work with, most of the time you're shooting a lot more than what you actually need, and you need a good way to refine those images down. So by using, let's go ahead and turn off our 5 stars. By using all of our tools, okay, for instance, like our film strip down here at the bottom, okay, you can hit minus and plus to view your images larger and smaller. By using all of our tools, especially like your compare tools where you click on 2 at the same time and you can cycle through them and say, hey, you know what, I really like that, that's a 5-star. By using all of these tools, it helps you to set ratings as well as flags, and then from there you can view just those images. So that's the main process that Lightroom uses to help you cull through or identify your best photos of a batch. Now keep in mind, Lightroom is an incredibly powerful program. We're moving a little bit fast and kind of like giving you the broad strokes of how this works, but you can get an idea that Lightroom is really great for choosing the selects out of a group of photographs. Now the next thing that Lightroom is really great at is editing a group of photographs as well. So for this, what we're gonna do is let's go ahead and take this icon down here. We're going to remove our film strip. There we go. Now I'm gonna go here and click on one image here to start, and we're gonna go to our develop module. So anytime we wanna do photo editing, this is gonna be in the develop module. We're gonna go ahead and bring this over from the right-hand side, and you can see this is all of our editing. Again, Lightroom is a very powerful program. There's a lot to it, and we even have AI object removal. What I'm gonna do just very, very simply is I'm gonna go to color grading, and I'm gonna try to add some interesting colors to my shadows, just like pull some blues into my shadows here. Oh, that's my midtones, but that's okay, it looks good. Let's go ahead and pull some blues into the shadows here, maybe a bluish green, and then our highlights, I'm gonna just make those a little bit warmer. There we go, something like that. I think it's looking pretty good. Now here with this color grading option, I can just click on this eyeball and see there's the before and the after, just a little bit of color grading. And you know what, let's go back to our basic adjustments, and we're gonna just go ahead and bring our exposure up just a little bit. I'm gonna bring our contrast down. Let's bring our shadows up just a little bit as well. Okay, fantastic. So in this case, this is all of the editing that I want to do with this photograph. Now we're gonna go ahead back to our library module. You can see I've edited that photograph. Now what happens if you want to basically apply that edit that I did to the entire series? Well, it's really easy to do. All you have to do is hold Shift and click on all of the images in your series or catalog or any selection that you have. Let's go ahead and bring over our sidebar here, and we're gonna go to where it says sync settings. Now with sync settings, I'm just gonna choose, our basic adjustments where we did a little bit of exposure work and contrast and highlights and shadows and color grading. Let's go ahead and click on those, and it's gonna sync. You can see this image is lighter in color than the rest of them. The rest have a gray background. This is a light gray background. I'm gonna click on synchronize, and as soon as I do, you're gonna see the edits that I made from this photo now apply across the entire range of photographs. Every single one of these photographs is now edited just like the one before. So if you want a relatively similar look, you can do that by editing one of your images and then batch editing the entire bit. Now, let's go ahead, we're gonna go back to our develop module. Let's focus on this image for a little bit. Let's go ahead and click on develop. Now in this case, I just wanna click on auto, okay? I wanna say, hey, whatever you're gonna do in terms of your light and color and exposure and things like that, just use the auto settings, is pretty cool. And then this one, I wanna go back into my color grading, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I don't like that kind of cool color that we had. I'm gonna hold Alt or Option, and I'm gonna just reset my shadows, midtones, and highlights. And I'm gonna say, maybe just here my midtones, let's just go a little bit warmer with my midtones. And that's all I wanna do for color grading. I don't wanna do so much, okay? So we can go ahead, I'm gonna hit that slash key on my keyboard to see the before and after of the editing. There's our before and the after. And I'm gonna say, you know what, I like this editing a little bit better. Okay, well, let's go back to our library and hit our grid view here on the bottom left. And now we wanna say, you know what, instead of all of these images being synced to that original one, now I wanna use this as my new reference point. Well, I'm gonna hold Shift and click on all those. Let's hold Control or Command and select these as well. Again, you can see this is our primary image because it's lighter, and it's going to sync all these others. So let's go to sync settings, Yep, basic is checked with all that I set to auto, as well as color grading. Let's click on synchronize. And now, as you can see, all of the images are now synchronized to this photograph. So it's a really great way if you have a number of images, maybe even if the exposure is slightly too bright or too dark, and all you want to do is fix your exposure or your white balance, you can edit it to multiple images at the same time. Now let's just go ahead and show you how to reset all of that. We'll just choose a different photograph here. There we go. Let's click on develop. And then for your color grading, we're just going to reset by holding Alt or Option, reset their midtones, highlights, and shadows. So there's going to be no color grading at all on this image. And then here in your basic adjustments, as you can see, it just did the auto settings. But let's go ahead and hold Alt or Option and just click on reset tone and then reset presence. And we're going to just reset everything. There we go. And click on reset. Fantastic. There's just one button. I forgot about this button. It just says reset. I could have just hit that one and it would have done all of them. So now let's go back to our library. I'm going to hit Control-Command-A to select them all. We're going to go to sync settings. I'm going to click on synchronize, and it's just going to reset everything back to exactly how it was before. So we started off by showing you how to go through your photographs and give them stars. We showed you how to filter your ratings by the attribute library filter up here, and we showed you how to mass edit your images. Now, another really great thing that you can do with Lightroom is organize your images. And one of my favorite things, honestly, is file renaming. I'm going to hit Control-Command-A to select all these images. Now, as I showed you earlier, let's just go to Finder. These are just named here with the stock image website and a bunch of words and stuff like that. Now, if you're using your own photographs, it's probably just going to be like some file format stuck from your camera. But sometimes you want to rename things. So here in Lightroom Classic, I just hit Control or Command-A. We're going to go to Library, and then we're going to go down to where it says Rename Photos. So let's go to Rename Photos, and I'm just going to call this Mongolia. There we go, because these were taken in Mongolia. This is going to be a custom name in a sequence, and I'm going to hit OK. Fantastic. Now, for these images, let's go ahead and hit Command just plus a couple times. You can actually go through a few different views to see the file names here. You can double click on any of these and hit I, and you're going to see now it's just Mongolia 1. Okay, there we go. Let's go back to our Finder window, and you can see it in fact changed the file name of all of these images. We just have Mongolia 1 through 16. There are a few different views that you can do here. I'm going to go to View here, and we have our compact cells. We have our view options. There we go. Here is compact cells or expanded cells. Let's go to expanded cells, and here you can see actually the file name, see that it's JPEG, you can see the file size and everything like that. Okay, so we have a lot of different ways to view our images as well as organize. So the first thing we showed you with organization was just file renaming. Let's go ahead, we're in our library module. I'm gonna push this over on the right. Let's get rid of that and go over here on the left. I'm gonna hit the minus key a couple times, and this is just gonna allow me to view all the photographs. Okay. Now, here we are in our folders. Now, we're going to open this up and look at these sample images. The cool thing is the folders that you see here in Lightroom Classic are literally the same things that is in your folders on your computer. So I'm going to create a folder here. We're going to right click and I'm going to say create folder inside, and I'm just going to call this 5 stars. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and click on create. I'm going to make sure this is not checked, include select photos. Let's click on create. All right, and go ahead and open this up. Now, as you can see in the sample images folder, we now have a 5-star folder. Well, check this out. Here in our Finder window, I now have a 5-star folder in my Finder window, okay? So when I created a folder here in Lightroom Classic, it also created a folder on my computer. That's really helpful. So let's go ahead and just narrow this down to all of our 5-star image. Again, we're gonna click on attribute right up here at the top. Let's go ahead and click on 5 stars. I'm gonna shift click on all these images, and we can just click and drag them right over here into our 5-star folder. So I click there, and we can see they're now in my 5-star folder. And back in my Finder window, I now have a 5-star folder with all of these images set to 5 stars, okay? So this is just one example of how you could organize your photos. There's no right or wrong way to do this. This is totally up to you in terms of how you'd like to do your organization, but we're gonna give you one more example. Okay, now let's say all of these 5-star photos were like, I like them, they're really cool, but I wanna make them black and white and I wanna export these out in a different folder. So let's show you how to do that. Let's click here on develop. We're gonna go ahead and just go to black and white right over here. I'm gonna go back to my library, shift click all of those, bring this over here, click sync settings, and then we're just gonna go ahead and choose our, what was this, black and white mix? There we go. Just wanna make sure, generally you just wanna check the things that actually, that you actually want to change. All right, let's click on synchronize and hopefully it just makes them all black and white. All right, sync settings again, maybe treatment of profiles where it was. All right, there we go, that did it. Okay, so now we have all of these images are black and white. Now keep in mind, this doesn't actually change anything on your computer. Like if I go into my Finder window and I'm in my 5-star folder, you can see these are not black and white on my computer. If you want these changes to apply, you have to then export out your images. So let's hit Control-Command-A to select them all. We're gonna go to File, down here to Export, and then we're gonna go ahead and choose the folder later. That looks good. I'm going to rename them, okay? We're gonna do file name, okay? You know what, this cool thing here that you can do actually, let's click on Edit, right? You can do file name, and then I'm gonna do an underscore, and then I'm gonna insert custom text here as well. Done. And then my custom text, I'm going to call it black and white. Check that out. So this is going to be the original file name, which we already changed, by the way, and then underscore black and white.jpg. Okay. Here we're going to choose a JPEG. That's going to be our file format. Yeah, about 70% looks pretty good. And then our image sizing, you know what? While we're here, let's resize that to fit the long edge. We're just going to say 2000 pixels. It doesn't need to be that big. So let's hit on export, and then where's this gonna go? Well, I can then choose this here in my Finder window, sample images. I'm gonna create a new folder here. We're gonna call this export, and in that, why not? I'm gonna call this black and white. Fantastic. Click on create, and then click on open. It's gonna export all 5 files just like that. And now we go back into our Finder, and we can see here's our sample images. Here's all of the other images that we photographed. Here's the 5 stars that we put in a separate folder. And now we have an export folder with black and white. And then these are our black and white images that we just exported out from Lightroom. But as you can see, all of the original images are intact. All right, there we go. Let's go ahead back here to our library. I'm gonna take our, I'm gonna set this to none. We're gonna go to all the sample images, and we're just going to put these in a folder as well. So we have a 5-star folder. I'm gonna create a new folder and inside that, we'll call that 4 stars and below. Again, you can do however you want. I'm just literally showing you all of these different options on how you can organize your images. You don't have to create new folders for stars. I'm just showing you this as an example. But here you can see my 4 stars and below, I have all these images here. My 5 stars, I've got those, and I've got my exports out there as well. All right, let's go ahead to our sample images. I'm gonna go to our, where is this view? Sometimes show photos in subfolders. That's what we want. There we go. It's gonna show everything in sample images and below. All right. Well, I really hope you get an idea of how Lightroom Classic and the Lightroom family of products works through this example. Again, it's about working with a large number of photographs. You can organize, you can export, you can choose your favorites. Everything has to do with a number of images. Now let's go ahead and take one of these images. We're gonna put it into Photoshop and we're gonna add clouds to the sky. So right back here, we're gonna go to our sample images. We're gonna take this photograph here. I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna say edit in, and I'm gonna say Photoshop 2025. Fantastic. I'm gonna say we're gonna edit the original. That looks pretty good. Let's go click on edit. You can do a copy, or you can do a copy with the Lightroom adjustments. Let's just go to edit original. Why not? There we go. Now we're gonna be editing this image. I'm gonna go ahead and grab, you might have saw it earlier, but you're like, why is there a clouds folder in there that we didn't use? Well, now we're actually gonna use it. Okay, so let's click this clouds image and we're gonna click and drag it into this image. I want these clouds to be in the sky behind our subject. So we're gonna click on our background here to start with. We're gonna go to select and then down to sky. There we go. Now that I have the sky selected, I'm gonna click here on my clouds image and we're gonna go to our layer mask icon. There we go. And it's gonna put a layer mask on the clouds image. Let's unlink them by clicking on the chain link, click on our cloud image, hit Control or Command T, and we're gonna scale this up a bit. Just like that, looking really good. We're gonna change our blend mode from normal down here to screen, and then I'm gonna hit Control or Command L for our levels. It's going to make my cloud layer a little bit darker. So let's go ahead and take our black point and bring that up here, and take our midpoint and bring that right about there. And we have a nice natural looking effect there. I think that looks great. Let's take our levels. I'm gonna take my lightest point here and just bring that a little bit darker there as well. So we're able to do a really nice sky replacement, basically just adding clouds to this sky. So again, If you want to do complex work where you have multiple different photographs you want to put together, multiple different images and layouts, I could put text on this thing. I could make this a graphic or a poster or anything like that I wanted to here in Photoshop as well. But you get the idea. When you want to do complex work on a single photograph, Photoshop is the way to go. Let's go to File. We're going to go to Save As. And then this is just going to be in the same place. So this is called Magnolia 16.psd. Let's go ahead and save that out. All right, and then we can just close this out. We don't need Photoshop really anymore. But here we go back into Lightroom Classic, okay? And now we have this sample images folder. I'm gonna go ahead and right click and I'm gonna say synchronize folder. And it's gonna find everything that's inside of that folder. Let's click on synchronize here. There we go. Look, it found this clouds.jpg, it found these black and whites, it found that PSD. Let's click here on import. And now here in my sample images, wow, it's got everything, right? Well, in fact, you know what? Where's this PSD? Well, maybe I want to put that in its own folder, right? So I can right click and I can say show in Finder. Where is it? There we go, show in Finder. I can find wherever it is. Now, right now it's with 4 stars and below. I don't want my PSD mixed with all these other JPEGs. So we can organize right back here again. I can go to my sample images, right click, what are you gonna create a folder inside, call that PSD. And then I'm gonna take this PSD and click and drag it right there. And it's now in my PSD folder. Okay, I'm gonna go back to Finder, and here you can see sample images. Just pretend this is a project. You know, you have our 4 stars and below, you have our 5 stars, you have your clouds that we did for our composite, you have your export, black and whites, and then you have your PSD. So everything is really well organized. And of course you can continue to organize it until your heart is happy. But that's the idea, that you can do all of your organizing within Lightroom Classic and it will reflect on your computer. And then for each individual photograph, that's where Photoshop comes in. I'm stumbling over my words, but I'm proud of myself. We did a lot today. We got through it. I'm proud of you too for watching. Thank you so much. I really hope you're enjoying this series. We're almost done. We'll see you tomorrow for our final project. Thanks again, everyone. I'll learn you later. Bye.